everyone, and welcome to another fabulous, successful powerhouse YP Mastermind. We are with an incredible team today. As you know, Gracie Barnhill is the chair of EXP Young Professionals, with MarkAnthony Ball as vice chair. We've got Jennifer Rountree, formerly known as Jen Rountree, the Director of Education on the Board of Directors, and myself, I'm Lauren Hilliard Ray, a Texas State Leader for EXP Young Professionals. And today we are running it back. If you weren't able to be in Miami for EXP Con, then you missed out on a lot of things. But the good thing about being a member of EXP Young Professionals is that we run things back like this all the time, and that way our members don't miss out. Just because you weren't there doesn't mean you don't deserve the information. And so this is really the beginning of a huge series that we have of recreating our panels from EXPCon. So be sure to tune in at this time on Thursdays for master classes. Get in touch with any of us on Instagram and be an active member in our Facebook group, EXP Young Professionals. And today we are doing Success Favors Speed. And exactly what this means, exactly what to do. And we are in territory taking season, guys. As y'all know, in 2025, it was a really, really rough market for a lot of agents. And I want to be respectful when I say that, because I also want to say on the other side of that, that 2026 is a year of taking territory from agents that left the market in 2025. There is no way, if you are plugged into these groups, if you do the work, it will work. If you take the classes, if you make the connections, if you really put yourself out there, there is no way that this is not going to be a successful career for you. So Gracie, talk to us. What does success favors speed even mean?
I think for me, it looks like avoiding that whole analysis is paralysis thing. You know, we can sit around and bake good ideas all day long. We can come up with every single wonderful next big thing under the sun until we are exhausted. But if you are not taking action, those ideas are just dead sitting in a drawer. You're not going to see the benefits. You're not going to reap rewards if you're not acting and implementing fast.
So what you're saying is you don't always necessarily have to have the information, but done is better than perfect, right?
One of my favorite sayings, you don't have to have it all figured out. It doesn't have to be perfect. Think about how many different variations of cars there have been, you know? And every single year they get better, they get newer, they change something to improve the driver's experience. It's the same way in real estate. If you want to improve your experience as an agent, you want to improve your client experience, once you've got an idea, act on it. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time you do it.
MarkAnthony, what's something that you did in 2025 that you're really looking forward to kind of like putting a steroid shot in it and changing it up for 2026? I mean, I know that you run an extremely high performing business in San Antonio, Texas. Your Instagram following, though, is what everybody envies. Like, let's be real. You've got an incredible Instagram following. Your watch count on your reels is substantial. And so kind of talk to me about what is something that in 2025 you did, but you want to improve on 2026. And then, of course, we all want to know about social media from you.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, 2025. I don't know about y'all, but 2025 was the year of listings for me. It was just listings upon listings upon listings. And the number one way we all know to control your paycheck on what you want to receive annually is to control the listings that you work with. We can't always control a buyer's budget, but you can always control the neighborhood that you sell in to guarantee the compensation that you want. And so last year I started cold calling expires, but I didn't do it as frequently as I'm doing now. If you follow me on social media, you know that I'm doing the cold call chronicles. It's not fun, but it's something that we're going to get money on at the end of the day. We're going to help these folks out because at one point they raised their hand because they needed to move for one reason or another. They needed to move because someone got married. They went to college. Something happened. And I said, you know what? Let's find a way so I can go ahead and help these sellers out who really just want to go ahead and move. And so that's what I'm really just giving all gas, no brakes on. The last, what day is it? The 15th, 16th. I have been cold calling every day, except Sundays. I've been cold calling every day because I need a break. My voice hurts sometimes. But it's just like, you know, lifting weights. You're not great at it the first time, but once you keep going and you get enough no's, you're finally going to get a yes. And that's kind of where we're at right now. When it comes to my social media, though, it's a dual hat for me. I really enjoy social media. Everyone knows I love social media. That's where I get a lot of my clients. About 80% of my listings and about 40% of my buyers come from social media. I don't do a lot of outbound prospecting aside from expired calls, which I've recently been doing. And it's really just connecting with people the way that you want to be connected with, right? I think that a lot of times we as agents, we get on social media and we say, oh, well, I have to be suit and tied and prim and proper. And yeah, you have to be professional, absolutely. But you don't need to be to a point where it's a robot and people don't know that you have a personality. So I like to show that, yeah, I like to go and get a chicken Caesar salad and Prosecco, or yeah, I like to go walk my dogs, or yeah, I like to go work out, because those are the people who want to have conversations with you. When you walk houses with people, when you have these clients, you have these relationships. And when they know who you are already, I have gotten so many signed agreements because, like, MarkAnthony, this was just a formality. We already knew we were going to list with you. We saw what you can do on Instagram. We love the personality that you have. We love the person that you are. Where do we sign? Send it over. So I would say if you're trying to get on Instagram, do it. And another thing I've learned, if you're trying to build a brand, but you don't have enough time for Instagram, you don't have enough time to build a brand. You have to be on social media. You have to.
Yeah. So on social media, let's get down to semantics. Everybody likes the tactical items, right? You run all of your real estate and your personal life on one account. Yes or no?
Yes. 1000%.
Gracie, yes or no? You're running on one account.
Absolutely, yes.
Jen, one account, yes or no?
One account.
Sam, nod your head. Are you running on one account? Yes or no? No. Okay. So there's a lot of different avenues to this. What I have found, I've been licensed almost 10 years. What I have found is that when you run on two accounts, not everybody gets the full picture of who you are and what it looks like to work with you. When I taught a class just yesterday with GoGo Bethke, the queen of freaking real estate, the queen of EXP, she said, if you are running two accounts, you are making a mistake because your feed is your storefront. When somebody scrolls through your feed, they need to be able to see exactly what you do, who you are. And then in stories, you're getting the BTS, you're getting all of the behind the scenes. And so just something to consider, Sam. I appreciate you playing along. And I'm sure there's many others on this call. I ran two separate accounts for over 3 years. And so it's something to evaluate, guys. I talked to Amber Powell yesterday, who's also in YP, and she's like, Lauren, what do you think I should do? And I said, you need to get rid of the other account and run 100% on one instead of 50 and 50 on both of them. You can see that it's worked for MarkAnthony at an extremely high level. I mean, he's literally local royalty in San Antonio, but he's also very, very well known and has a preceding reputation as well. Jen, MarkAnthony just spoke about so many different things that he's calling expires. He's doing things that he wasn't doing in 2025. What are some things besides growing your team? Because you've brought on a substantial amount of agents just in the past few weeks onto True Grove. You specialize in Jacksonville and surrounding areas. What are some things that you are really just taking out? You're letting the ball and chain back. You're leaving the ball and chain back in 2025. And this year you're like, I'm going balls to the wall on these items. What are some of those items for you?
Yeah, so some of those items for me specifically are just, so I adapted something at the end of 2025, which we talked about EXPCon, which was my 70-30% rule. So in other words, if it's 70% aligned with my brand, we're rolling with it. We're not stopping. We're not thinking about it. We're rolling. Now, obviously, if it falls into a different category, we're taking a step back and we're figuring it out. But what that has helped us do as a team is really just keep the ball rolling and not get stuck and not get in our own way. I feel like a lot of agents are constantly kind of in their own way and they're not realizing that they're their own bottleneck. And it can be so hard in leadership to realize that you are the bottleneck sometimes because you just want so much control and it's hard to let that control go. So delegate, delegate, delegate. If it is not in my hourly rate, I just don't do it anymore. So delegate for sure.
I want to touch on that real quick. So 70-30 rule, you do open houses at a really high level. And I'm not sure if you focus specifically on agent attraction, but I know that they're attracted to your business because of the results, right? And because of how you put yourself out there on Instagram. I'd rather be cringy than poor. I want to be very clear about that. I'd rather be cringy than not be able to pay my bills. So I don't care
100%.
if on Instagram or on Facebook, people are judging me. Everybody's going to judge you guys. It's going to be the mom walking through Kroger's. It's going to be your neighbor. It's going to be all of these people. So why not just count your losses already and then go 110% in on your social media, on your brand, and how you are offering your business to people. When people see your name and when people hear your name, what are they thinking about? Are they thinking about somebody that's doing a half-butt job on 20 different things? Or are you doing 100% or 110% on many different things? For me and my business this year, I just hired an executive assistant. I hired her in October. She's been in boot camp for almost 3 full months, and I launched her this week. Getting an executive assistant for me was a non-negotiable where I'm at in my career, and here's why. Because I was doing a lot of content creation that was taking away from my big ticket items, right? Like my buyer consults, my listing presentations, my mentoring of all of these different agents, and giving back to my communities at YP and the Women's Impact Network. What are you doing that is not worth your hourly rate? And as GoGo Bethke teaches, you find out how much money you made last year, and then you divide it by 2,080. 2,080 is the amount of hours that's worked a full-time job on average in 1 year. So then you're going to find out your hourly rate. And is that hourly rate worth you doing 12 hours of content creation? For me, it wasn't. We're all in different points of our careers, and whether you're 6 months into this job or you're 6 years into this career, you have to analyze what is worth your time and can you outsource it. And it does not have to mean just doing VAs. It doesn't have to mean like finding people online and tracking all of these people down. Sometimes for me, like I've got one of my agents on this call, Eric. Sometimes for me, it's paying Eric to go and put out my signs, paying Eric to go and do my open houses for me, paying Eric to put out hilarious freaking reels because I don't have time to do it. Speed is always going to win over perfection. Who is the first to the finish line? I always want to be first. My friends on this call know that I'm a sore loser, guys. I don't like losing, and I rarely lose. I say that very proudly, but I don't like freaking losing, especially to the person that sells 2 homes a year. Okay. Like I don't want to freaking lose. But creating brand clarity and what people can expect with your brand is critical to your success. So luxury, let's talk about this, Gracie. Everybody thinks that a luxury agent sells multi-million-dollar houses, right? They do all the multi-million-dollar tours. They wear the heels, they wear the suits, they drive the cars, they've got the bags, they've got the following and all of this stuff, Gracie. But a luxury agent can be the experience that you give all of your clients, no matter what the price point is, right? Talk to me about your price point. Talk to me about the differentiations in your clients. Talk to me about providing a luxury experience to people that aren't necessarily in a luxury price point.
Here's the thing. I want to say it was Beth Silverman talk about if you're a 3% agent, you need to give 4% service. And nothing has ever spoken to the way I do business more than that right there. You can create that luxury experience by making things smoother for your client, by showing up in the way that they need, and by making things easy. Make it easy for them to say yes. They don't need to go research 500 inspectors. If they want to, they can. Here is a list of the inspectors that I've used before. Here's the number of clients that have worked with them. Here's their Google reviews. Here's what they're going to charge. I only had to make that list one time. So it was fast and easy for me to do, but it takes away some of the energy that would have drained my client because I've already done the work. All they have to do is say yes. So when you're talking about creating a luxury experience, that can mean creating an experience that is less draining for your clients. Guys, we know it's hard on people. We know that this process can be very, very difficult. If you're talking about divorce, if you're talking about downsizing, if you're talking about death, these experiences can be hard. So luxury doesn't just mean wearing high heels. Luxury can also mean the way that you make your clients feel at the beginning and after the transaction.
That's big, Gracie. Something that you just said really resonated with me of how MarkAnthony runs his business. MarkAnthony, yesterday or the day before, you were on your stories and you were showing a $130,000 condo to, I think, a 25-year-old buyer that you had, or it was the traveling nurses or whatever it was. But what I loved about what you did on your Instagram stories is that you said specifically, this is a $130,000 condo. I don't care about the price point. I care about the client. And I am providing a service to my client to analyze and look at this property because it was staged before and now it's not. And I want to give them an accurate view of what they're going to be purchasing. Because if we don't create an accurate view of what people are purchasing, then everything else is skewed. Everything from start to finish. MarkAnthony, why is it not about the price point for you? So many times in real estate, we hear you need to focus on a niche market. You need to focus on a price point. You need to focus on a type of house or an area. But why is it for you that you're like, I want to focus on the type of clients that deserve to work with me, but I also deserve to have in my life? Talk to us about that.
You actually nailed it on the head. I don't want to work with everyone. I know some people are like, oh my gosh, MarkAnthony. No, I don't want to work with everyone. There's just some people who they're just not the people I want to work with. We'll leave it at that. You can infer where you want to go to with that. I think that my market specifically in San Antonio, we have such a broad range of price points. You know, we have 4 military bases in the local area. I've been in the military for 12 years. I know that they only pay me enough to survive. That's basically it, and barely that, right? And so finding a home to purchase is going to be in the lower price point of $250 up to $300, maybe $400,000, right? And so I know what it's like to barely able to afford my rent when I was renting. Now trying to help someone get closing costs and this and that. Those are the people I want to work with. Same with my first time buyer that I was helping out the other day. He's like, yo, I'm 25. I understand what it means to have to buy a house. I want to do it now before life hits me in the face, before I find a woman I want to settle down with and have kids. I want to have something that I can have tangibly to build equity with, etc. And I think that's important when it comes to finding who your avatar client is. I think that if you try and cater to everyone who you want to work with, you really cater to no one, right? And of course, if you have a niche that's very widespread like mine, of course, put yourself in different positions to put you as the knowledge broker in the 200,000s, the 900,000s, the 1.3 millions, because those are the people that you will be working with. But be very specific with the people that you choose to work with, because that can either make your experience as a real estate agent super enjoyable, or it makes you want to push yourself out of the industry and you go back to the corporate 9 to 5, which we left for a very specific reason.
Or push yourself out of a moving car, right? Because we've all been there.
Very that.
Like, I do not want to go to this appointment. Please, let me get a flat tire on the way to this appointment so I don't have to meet this person.
No, literally.
Qualifying a person, MarkAnthony, the notorious intake forms. They changed my freaking business when you spoke about senior intake forms, when you spoke about seller and buyer intake forms, because you're qualifying these people when they fill out these intake forms, right? Tell the people here what those intake forms are, what they look like, and then why ultimately did you start using these intake forms for all of your leads that come in that you have, significant conversations with?
Yeah, let's start with that last question first. And I think that'll help build everything out. So when I was active duty Army, I was moonlighting as a real estate agent. So I was a drill sergeant at the time, for those who don't know. So I can put on the big scary voice and the hat and all that good stuff. It's been ingrained in my life for the past 3.5 years. So what would happen is I would go to work at 4 a.m., right? Wake up the trainees, hang out, PT, all that other stuff. I wouldn't leave work until 5:30, 6 o'clock to go show homes. And people were like, hey, can we do this? I would even leave during lunch. I would change, go do some showings, come back home. But it got to a point where, for those who don't know, I was $60,000 in debt in 2020. I was in a lot of freaking debt. And I said, well, MarkAnthony, I feel like your time in the military is coming to an end. We can't get out with $60,000 in debt. Like, we're barely making enough to survive right now. How are we going to do this? I said, well, real estate is the most legal and fastest way to pay off $60,000 worth of debt. So I've met my fair share of tire kickers though. You know, after already being up at 4 a.m., not getting home until 5:30, you know, my dog is still at home in the kennel, hasn't been out all day, like, etc. I got tired of kicking tires. And I said, there has to be a better and different way to qualify these people. And just like when you go to a dentist's office, a lawyer's office, a therapist, they make you do an intake form because they need to know who you are, what services you're looking for, and who's paying. Right? You need to find out that information before you even go and talk to someone, because at the end of the day, you're going to be driving around for 3.5 months for them to say, oh, actually, I'm not ready, or I don't even have proof of funds yet, or actually, I was kind of just trying to look and see what things were looking like. And this was before buyer's reps were even needed. Right? So I was showing anybody with a house because I didn't want to make anyone sign a form with me. Sure, I'll show you a house, no worries. So my intake form, like I tell everyone, it's my monopoly, do not pass go. You cannot even schedule an appointment with MarkAnthony until that form is filled out. Someone says, hey, MarkAnthony, I want to buy a house. Great. Fill this out. At the very bottom, there's a link where you can go ahead and schedule it. So I get your intake form and you get to book an appointment time that works best for you. From there, it's usually, I give a minimum 48-hour buffer window. That way I can take a look at everything, see if what they're looking for is realistic. If there's a unicorn in there, it allows me to start searching prior to the conversation and say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you're looking for something so far-fetched, but these are the 1 or 2 things that I found. Or if they're finding something easy, these are all the homes that we found, right? But it at least gives you the information they're looking for, and you can put it in the MLS. Because I don't know about y'all, I've taken many calls during a drive, and I'm like, I forgot what Lauren told me what she was looking for. Does she want 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms? Does she want 3 garages or 2 garages? That form basically puts the fault on me. And I say, hey, Lauren, fill this out for me because I don't want to forget what you're looking for and mess up on something that a potential home that you're looking for. That's usually how it works. And like I tell everyone, if you send me a DM, send me a message, I'll happily send that on over to you. Copy, paste, do what you got to do. It's not anything that's proprietary or mind blowing. It's just a lot of trial and errors and kicking myself in the foot.
And that's the spirit of YP. So MarkAnthony, drop your Instagram in the chat I'm sure everybody follows you here, but then drop into his DMs and ask for these intake forms. All you have to do is take screenshots of them, because I don't think they're editable. Take screenshots of them, upload them into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to duplicate it for you. And it'll do it in any format, whatever you do, in editable format. But that way, especially if you are just starting in real estate, implement this today, because it's something that will stick with you throughout your entire career. Guys, we're in the business of making money and selling homes. I'm not performing brain surgery. And I mean that very respectfully. Like, what we do is challenging, but we also make a significant amount of money to do what we do. We need to be running this like an actual business and not a hobby. Jennifer, you share a lot of your tactics and what works for you in your business, of how you attract your agents, what you do at your open houses, how you went from a solo agent last year to building a team this year. You use AI at an extremely high level. What are some of the daily prompts that you use either for your clients or your agent operations, your team standards? What are some of these daily prompts that somebody on this call could really take and be like, okay, I'm going to go send that to ChatGPT, R&D it, and implement it into my business today?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI, I feel like we're a very AI driven team, and just me as an agent, me as a team lead for sure. So what we came up with last year is a couple of things to specifically, because again, just like MarkAnthony said, we're very listing heavy. We feel like 2025 was like the year of the listings, but what was kind of always an unknown, or took way too much time, in my personal opinion, to find out, was like what kind of buyers were going to be buying these listings. So the first thing that I did is I came up with a prompt that would tell me not only the buyer psychology, but also what type of buyer this is. Would they be perfect for this house? Are they in a completely different area? And then it was just a matter of honing in on that particular prompt and making it for both buyers and sellers, and that it could be passed out to agents. We kind of just fed off of that. We took it to another step, and we came out with a prompt that also helps us with absorption rate. So not only now, what would have taken like, I don't know, a couple of hours possibly if you were in a newer market, or if it was like a one-off, because, if you're in relo, like Lauren and I are, you get those one-offs sometimes. And it's cut time down exponentially. So what would have taken, maybe hours to figure out now takes 5 minutes or less. And we also have a prompt too that tells us like who's in the area, like what is the competition as far as, agents, like what other, agents, what are they doing? How many homes have they sold? Things like that. So pretty much anything that you can imagine, you can make a prompt for that can help you in your business or help you with your clients. And so that's basically what we're doing, but we're building them out all the time. And we're kind of creating a library. So it's really awesome. I'm excited about 2026.
So what I hear you saying is that you are basically taking a college level degree of knowledge into every single one of these markets. The playgrounds, the schools, the shopping, the type of buyer, the average price point, where they're coming from, what they do for work, all of the demographics, compared to an agent that has a home listed right behind yours on a different street that listed this home that is never, and you don't have to sell. People say, sellers and buyers say this all the time. Well, I want to work with an agent that specializes in this neighborhood. And do you want to work with an agent that specializes in this neighborhood because they sell one home per year in this neighborhood? Or do you want to specialize with an agent that has a freaking college degree of knowledge of how this neighborhood runs, but also the intake and outtake of every single piece of information that's coming in and out of this community? I want to work with that agent, even if they haven't sold a home in the freaking neighborhood. I want somebody that is coming so hard with knowledge that it gives me such a competitive advantage against other people. You were talking about competition. I thrive on competition. Eric on this call knows I thrive on competition. And here's an example. We've got a $705,000 luxury listing in North Dallas right now. One of my competitions, exact same floor plan, crappier inside, 20 out of 40 MLS photos. They look like they were taken with a potato. This agent was doing an open house on Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3. When did I schedule my open house? Saturday and Sunday, 1 to 3. What did I do? I hired a coffee and hot chocolate truck to come out, park in the neighborhood, and give free coffee and hot chocolate to everybody that came to my open house. And the eyes on our listing are substantial compared to this other one, but it's about thinking outside of the box. Think outside of the box. And I had a lot of agents drop into my DMs here in Dallas, Fort Worth saying, well, how much is the coffee truck and hot chocolate truck? It's $350 for 2 hours. My potential commission on this is like over 23 grand, almost 25 grand. You have to think about the ROI. We ran that coffee truck and those open houses so successfully that my seller texted me a few days ago and was like, hey, we're willing to pay for the coffee truck ourselves now if y'all want to go ahead and do it again. But it's things like this. Now this coffee and hot chocolate truck is like, well, you're doing this for open houses. Can you connect me to other agents? Absolutely. So who are these smaller vendors and these smaller businesses in y'all's markets that you can reach out to? I've done taco trucks, barbecue trucks, snow cone trucks, coffee, hot chocolate. A lot of people do the mimosas and the charcuterie and things like that. But how can you be out competed, or how could I be out competed compared to, no offense, but this other agent that had Walmart brand water bottles at this $700,000 open house, and that's all she had. And I agree, you don't have to spend all this money on open houses, but how are you presenting? What do people think when they associate your name with real estate? When they know Clubhouse Realty Group here in Dallas, Fort Worth, they know these people are freaking hunters and they are competitive and they're going to work to win. Gracie, for those agents that might be a little bit younger, you're 22 years old, might be a little bit younger, might have a little less experience, might not close a ton of homes per year, might not have the experience to back them up. Where can they get their numbers and really implement these things into their business to stop A, doubting themselves, but B, really just hit the ground running in 2026 and say, for example, here are my brokerage numbers for the state of Alabama. Like, let's freaking run with it. What do you do to have a competitive advantage when you don't necessarily have the experience and knowledge to back it up?
So when I got in at 19, I really felt that, right? I was brand new. I was still a teenage girl, y'all. But I was doing residential, commercial, and land and doing it successfully because of one thing. I have nothing, if not a lot of freaking confidence. And at first I didn't. It's hard to show up as a teenager in this space, as a young professional in this space, and show up loudly, proudly, and confidently. But as soon as I did, I love what you said earlier, as soon as I started prioritizing making money over feeling cringy, my business went off. And that's what I needed. I wish that was something someone had told me earlier, because instead of hiding my age and tucking it away and praying people ignored it, I started owning it. And as soon as I started owning it, I found this whole group of people, this whole market that was totally untapped in my area of young people who wanted to be homeowners. One of my most memorable and meaningful closings was sitting at a closing table with a husband and wife, and every single one of us was 19 years old. That was so memorable to me. There are people who are looking for you. If you are a young professional, if you are a brand new agent, you've got a lot of people who come into real estate as a second career, and they feel like young professionals because they're starting from scratch. People are looking for you. So, MarkAnthony talks a lot about showing up authentically. That matters, in my opinion, more than anything else. Because if you go around and you try to be too stiff and you try to be too posh and you're a 19-year-old wearing a pantsuit that doesn't fit quite right, it's not going to bring you the same return as showing up. I show up to every, this is no joke. Every single showing, I am wearing tennis shoes. I'm probably wearing jeans. I look like a professional, but you're not going to catch me in stilettos. I can't walk in those things. So my advice to young professionals, and I know we've got a few on the call, is to show up authentically and know your shit before going in. Know your research. Like you talked about knowing what EXP is doing. We're 1,000 agents in Alabama. So I might not have 4,000 listings, but my brokerage does. I might not have 300 buyers in the pipeline, but my brokerage does. Know their neighborhood, know your brokerage, go in confidently, show up authentically. If you do nothing else, that's my advice.
If you want to rebuild what you've created as a business, or you're starting up in business, what Gracie just said, they've got 1,000 agents in Alabama, whatever market you're in. And if you don't have listings, you don't know how to do open houses, here's my number one tip for you. On your MLS, you're going to back search and add different search fields into your MLS. And you're going to search by listing office EXP. And then you're going to create a radius on the map, and you can do your price point, you can do your property size and all of this stuff. But like Sue-Ann, I don't know what market you're in, but for example, you could be super listing heavy, and I'm humbling myself. I don't know your business, but I will soon. But you could be super listing heavy, but if you're building a business and you don't have any listings, you are going to find agents at EXP, and you are going to contact them to do their open houses. People are going to say no, but all you're looking for is a yes. And once you do that open house at for that agent, they're going to continue to call you for future listings, but then you get to put out content. People don't know what they don't know. People that follow my brother, Eric, on here, who's one of my agents, if he's still on here, but who's one of my agents, people don't know that are following him that he's only been in the business for 2.5 months, because he shows up and he does so many property walkthroughs. He goes and meets with so many builders. You would think this kid is a freaking millionaire, right? But he's not. But you don't know what you don't know. And so when you go and find these people and step outside of the box of creativity, that's where the money's going to come in. If you want to be different, if you want to earn different, if you want to give different, if you want a different life, if you want a different career financially, then you have to be different. You have to do different than the other agents. In DFW alone, we've got 31,000 licensed agents, guys. In Dallas, Fort Worth, 31,000 licensed agents. That's 31 times almost of the amount of EXP agents in Alabama. So take your market, like Taylor, who's working a dual career right now. She's running an insurance company and she's dual career as a real estate agent. Like, she's got so much potential sitting in front of her just by having conversations and just by letting people know that she's in real estate and she's licensed. And I think I'm correct, but she's 19 freaking years old, guys. We'd all be billionaires. You just turned 19. Well, happy belated birthday, babe. But it's like we'd all be freaking millionaires if we got into real estate at 19 years old, right? Like I just turned 36. Okay. I know you can't tell. It's shocking. I look 22. So success favors speed. Let's talk about, I want to call on some people if y'all are okay with this, but be okay with this because being raw and vulnerable and being accountable is what we do here at YP. Teresa, gorgeous. I would love to know if you can unmute yourself. What market are you in and how many years have you been in the industry?
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, been a realtor for 3 years.
And would you say that you're running a business that you don't further need to improve? You're maxed out, you're making all the money, you've got all the agents, you've got all the clientele, or are there some gaps that you'd like to fill in?
A lot of gaps.
What could some of those gaps be for you?
So I'm dual career as well. So just finding the balance to really go hard with real estate while I keep my 9 to 5, because my 9 to 5 is paying my bills, but my passion is real estate, and just pushing myself more to get out there and use social media. I went to MarkAnthony's Instagram page. I need to improve in that area. So, and there's so many things that I can do. So what's that 1 or 2 thing that I would need to do this year to really take me to the next level the fastest?
Content creation and property tours. Like I just said, people don't know what they don't know. They're going to see you touring these houses. They're going to see you meeting with builders. They're going to see you doing open houses. If you work a 9 to 5, right now, I mean, in the summer, you're obviously going to have a lot more working hours because it's daytime, but let's talk about tactical items that you can implement because success favors speed. And this year is all going to be about territory taking and eventually getting you out of dual career and full time as a powerhouse in real estate. It's going to be property tours. I really encourage, and I know MarkAnthony does this. He does content creations on Tuesdays. All day long, he is going to all of these different properties. He is going to film all these properties, and then he is going to put them into Opus Clip, OPUS. He's going to put them into ChatGPT. But like MarkAnthony has a videographer. Get your best friend, get your teenager, get your freaking grandma, whoever can hold a phone and hit the record button. I don't care who it is, but have them record you. And it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. And I've said this, I wasn't even on Instagram like 3.5, 4 years ago. And I was scared. I was like, people are going to make fun because I needed braces and a kid and I didn't get it. Or I've got dark circles. Or I kind of speak a little bit off the cuff. I've got, the mouth of a pirate. I don't know what the saying is. Go Becky didn't have a tooth for 8 months and she made millions of dollars in that year just in content that she put out. But it's just about getting outside and doing the things in the outside hours that are going to really switch your career and switch your financial gain. That's what Jen did. Jen was running as a solo agent last year. Now she's got a team. Jen, how many agents do you have right now?
So right now I just have 2 agents, but I also have my my back of the house. So we look at it as a complete team, but I only have 2 agents, but I also have my admin side too, which I'm really proud of.
But you also mentor
infrastructure.
But you also mentor a ton of agents too.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there might not be an agent on your team, but how many agents would you say that you mentor?
15 right now.
Yeah.
15
agents.
I rotate between 15 and 30 at any given time, guys. So if you need it can be even a simple question. It's all across the board. So sometimes it's extreme hand holding all the way to just like, hey, I just need a soundboard. I think I know the answer, but before I make that step, I need to know if this is what I'm thinking. And I am that soundboard to a lot of agents.
Being a soundboard to a lot of agents that you don't always necessarily make a penny on, right? But you do it out of the kindness of your heart because as y'all know, and if you're in my community, I want people to succeed. I don't care if I make money off of you. Like I want to see people succeed and pour into their business because I want to be around people that operate from a collaborative aspect and care about people's success. MarkAnthony, hop in. Never call MarkAnthony Mark, guys. I'm going to give you the warning right now.
Don't do it.
He will block you on Instagram. You will absolutely.
That is the horse of death for sure. Shortening my name for sure. I wanted to go back to what Teresa had mentioned when it comes to what we should be doing. I don't know if you guys follow Leo Pareja, our CEO, on Instagram, but back in November, and I had to screenshot this because this was so powerful when it comes to social media. He says, if you're a new agent posting barely once a week, nobody knows you exist, which is why you're not selling real estate. You think you're competing with established agents, but you're not. You're competing with invisibility.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. You're competing with invisibility. The top agents are not taking your clients. There is no your clients, because the clients that hire agents, they hire them the people that they hear of. They're hiring people that they hear of who have that social proof. You're not losing to competition. You're losing to anonymity.
Mhm.
You need to just start posting. And if you're worried about getting on camera, do this instead. Forward facing of the house, where you're doing just the walking pour through. That's what I started doing on my YouTube channel, which actually started getting me people in places where I didn't have a videographer at the time. My guy Malcolm was transitioning elsewhere. I was like, well, I got to make content somehow. It was me behind the phone. Hey guys, look at this awesome Perry Homes here in San Antonio, Texas, 500,000. Let's do an entire tour. Let's go. That's it. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be, it just needs to be done. It just needs to exist before we can make it look pretty. We're fighting with anonymity, guys. There are, just like Lauren had mentioned, here in San Antonio, there are 15,000 agents. That's a lot of people to compete with, but I can't compete with people if no one knows who the heck I am. So get out there and just post something that says, oh, when I think real estate, I think MarkAnthony, I think Lauren, I think Gracie, I think Jen, I think Sam, I think Sue Ann, I think Teresa. That should be your goal. When someone thinks of buying or selling a house, your name should pop up. Why? Because your content is always in their face every single day.
And he does not mean downloading the Etsy templates and then uploading them to Canva. Guys, I love everybody that tries, but just don't do the Etsy templates where you can buy 500 templates for 36 cents and you post it. Nobody wants to know your market stats like that. Okay. They want to hear them from you. They want to hear them in your voice. They want to see your face. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be raw and authentic. Gracie, hit us.
I wanted to touch on kind of some of what Teresa talked about. I do not have the experience of being a part-time agent, but I will say this as someone who is a busy agent. Anything you can automate, do it. When we're talking about social media content creation, I love what MarkAnthony just said about doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a videographer. It has to be posted. I love what Lauren just talked about. When we say automate, I don't mean go post the exact same graphic that 99% of other agents are posting. That is not what I mean. When I say automate, I mean look into, of course, Opus. That's OUPS. I think all of us as established agents on the call, we all use it. I know the four of us as panelists do. We're talking about using ManyChat. That's one. Write down and look it up. We're talking about using MessageMind. I'm integrating an executive assistant right now, and it's going to be the best executive assistant in the world because it's AI, and I'm training it to be another me. These are tools that have free versions. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money, but you can automate. And when you can move faster, when you can focus on the things that Jen talked about earlier, worth your hourly rate, when you can offload the $10 an hour tasks to AI or to an assistant, you are going to give yourself more opportunity to succeed, to implement things, to create original content, and to get out of your 9-to-5. I just wanted to throw that out there because I really, really hope you write those 3 resources down and check them out.
Thank you, Gracie. Jennifer, hop in.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to bring to you guys' attention too, because this is something that I struggled with before I even got my license, and it kind of held me back for a while. And I know it could be affecting some of you guys on the call, which is imposter syndrome. And I just want to let you guys know that everything that the panelists are saying is completely 110% true, but you have to realize that most of these agents out there, when we're talking about all of these different agents in these markets, most of them are not even doing the bare minimum. When you show up for yourself and when you show up for your clients, you're already usually in the 5%, if not 1% of your market share. So keep that in mind when imposter syndrome starts to sink in and tells you, or that, you know, that person on your shoulder is like, oh no, you don't got it like that. You don't have anything to offer. You haven't made this sale yet. You haven't gotten this listing yet. It's all crap. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out, because don't let it hold you back. It is really important that you understand where everybody's at. And while we are all online and we're doing it, a lot of people are showing up once and they're done, or they're not answering their phone. I can't tell you how many times I hear that from people. Oh my gosh, you answered your phone. Yeah, that's what we do. But if you do that, you're going to get so much further. So just keep that in mind. There are agents out there that are doing the bare minimum. So if you show up, you're already way ahead of the game.
And Jen hit it on the head. Y'all, yesterday, if you followed me on Instagram, I literally was going through some houses that are on the market. They're barely doing the bare minimum. I looked at some listing photos where a guy's reflection was in an oven. And when people say, oh, I want an experienced agent, I show them. I screenshot those and I show sellers, this is what an experienced agent is.
How much was that house that you saw the guy's reflection in the freaking oven?
$999,000, which would have been, if they charge 3%, a $30,000 compensation check. So I show these people, this is what experience gets you. Someone in the reflection of your oven, you know, someone down here with the phone up top to take a picture of the bathroom so they're not in the mirror. Yeah, I might be a newer agent. Granted, I have 6 years in, but some people, they want, oh, I want all this. Sure, I'm new, but I know what professional looks like. I know what right looks like, and I'm down to spend the money to make sure that your home has the right exposure and experience. So please do not feel like I don't have the experience because I've never sold a multi-million-dollar home. Go find bad examples of multi-million-dollar homes on the market, because just when you think that you can't do a great job, there are experienced agents with, I've been licensed for 20 years in the game. I hate when they do that, by the way, but they're in there doing the bare darn minimum. Show those bad examples and say, you can work with the Cooper Sotheby's. You can work with the Keller Williams. Sure, that's fine. Let me show you what I would do instead.
Yeah. $1.4 million house. I was looking online on MLS last week, and there's a pair of underwear on the edge of the bed in the primary bedroom. And the agent posted it in MLS, guys. That's the thing, is it could have been avoided. But some agents are just like, click, upload, ChatGPT description, upload, and we're going to cash a check, baby. Like, we have to be different. We've got 9 minutes, and we truly respect everybody's time here. So I want to quickly, everything that I just dropped in the chat, mini chat, I think it's $10 or $15 a month. Set it up. Game changer. And it makes you look bad A, Jen, one sec, bad A on Instagram, because you set up all of these cheats. People comment winning to get a link to your Zooms, to get a link to a consultation with Taylor, to get a link to Sam's relocation guide. Like, you can set all of these up. And then Teresa, MarkAnthony, Sue Ann, when y'all are doing, and I only say I'm calling people with cameras on because I can't see the other people that don't, but take long form video and you put it into Opus Clip. So like MarkAnthony did at a really high level that I love. High level is always going to be associated with MarkAnthony because he's leveraged so much of his time in the beginning that now it's just seamless. He has recorded himself walking through every single detail of a buyer's representation agreement, every single detail of a Texas real estate contract. And then he sends that 3-minute walkthrough video over to his clients. That way they know exactly what they're signing and what to expect when the time comes. So when you're in a multiple offer deadline, because it's going to happen this year, when you're in a multiple offer deadline, when you are up against the clock, you've got an anniversary dinner that you've got to get out to, you've got a concert happening in 30 minutes, and you need your clients to sign right now. Your clients aren't saying, let's get on a Zoom and discuss all of the documents. They're saying, I watched your freaking video and I know exactly what I'm signing. Like, let's go, 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 because I don't like losing. And I know my agent doesn't like losing. Calendly, easy way for people to book appointments with you. I think it's $20 a month. It's less than $1 a day. It's professional. You choose your schedule, but it's just like a doctor's office. It's just like an attorney. It's just like all of these surgeons and everybody that you need to schedule an appointment with. This isn't scheduling through a text message. It's just a little bit more professional. And guys, here is a mind-blowing thing that somebody told me really early on in my career. You don't have to have an in-person assistant. Taylor can go and create an email address for Susan at taylordaw.com. And Susan is her assistant who responds to all of Taylor's emails. Oh, Taylor's only available on Tuesdays and Fridays in the afternoon. Is there anything else I can help you with scheduling? Create a fake freaking assistant. You just have to have a real email address. That's all it is. And it makes you look absolutely seamless. And then Linktree. So you're linking your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Instagram, your website, your YouTube, and everything like that. So look into these. Jen, did you have another tool?
Yeah, I had thrown Gamma up there. Gamma is great, guys. If you guys want to put presentations together, your SOPs, a lot of times SOPs end up in some really ugly Word doc and they're forgotten about. This kind of brings everything through to life. You can also make your website on Gamma. You can do funnels on Gamma. It's pretty endless. It's about $25 a month as well. Pretty much everything that we've mentioned, I want to say is like under $30 a month. So it's not going to necessarily break the bank. I did want to mention for you guys who might be under 1,000 followers, ManyChat is free to you. So there's no excuses.
Sorry, I've had just over 2,000, Jen. I don't fall into that category, okay?
If you have to pay for it, you do. But if you don't, I
Big
wanted you to
time
know
over
about
here.
it.
Big time over here, right? I'm kidding, guys. I'm being very facetious. So we've got 5 minutes left. Q&As. Let's hit with some questions. If y'all want a quick audit, like drop your Instagram into the chat. Let our board or let our panelists go ahead and hop on your Instagram and let you know what we think. But if you've got questions about your business, about gaps, about open houses, about switching and pivoting from a dual career over to just going 2 feet in and 110%, if you've got questions about how to do content, what equipment we use, anything. So what do y'all have? I got Sue Ann's here. We'll hop in. I'll go follow you and I'll drop into your DMs. I know the other people will too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
I do have a question for MarkAnthony. When you are pitching people and if you are showing the, like underwears or all the crazy photos of other agents, when in your listing presentations are you showing that?
I usually do that before the what I offer versus what other agents offer. So there's a portion in my listing appointment where it says, here's what you get with MarkAnthony. Here's what you may get with other agents that I've done research on. Right. It's just like a foundation repair company. We always want to show them the bad. So you always want to tell them, yeah, this is what needs to get repaired. And that's usually what nails it. They're like, oh my gosh, MarkAnthony, I had no idea.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sam just asked in the chat, do you use any devices to record conversations with clients? I know we've got extreme laws around that in Texas. A lot of agents do use Gemini AI, but I think to get around that, if y'all have some specific recording laws in your state, which I really, really encourage you look up. I would just use voice notes. But Gracie, what do you use?
So when the lawsuit stuff first changed and everyone's figuring out how to do business, I was getting on Google Meets with people just like this. I was presenting the paperwork, and I know not everybody wants to take the time to do it, but I would start the meeting with saying, I'm going to record this and you will get a copy as soon as we're done, so that if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to refer back to, if you don't remember, whatever, you are going to have it right there. You will have the transcript. And of course, me as a always available resource, but you will be able to go back and look at that and look at the conversation. And it also protects me so that it can't be said later on, like, oh, you didn't do this, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do this. There's an agent in my market who also records them, plugs it into Opus, and takes the him only parts, takes the non-confidential parts, and uploads them to YouTube. So personally, it was Google Meets for me. Lauren really nailed it about you've got to be careful based off of your state. I liked using Google Meets because it already says there's a big disclosure, this meeting is being recorded and you have to opt in. So I liked that personally.
Teresa just asked a big question. For anybody that I know that is doing social media at a really high level and making money off their social media, you're running on one account all day long. You don't need Teresa Anderson and then Teresa Anderson Realtor. Like, who is Teresa Anderson? Because like, if I'm buying a house or if I'm listing my house with somebody, I want to see like who they are as a person as well. I want to see, like, I know MarkAnthony's like the Caesar French fries and Prosecco. I know he works out a ton. It's got a body of a god. I know what his dogs look like. I know what market he serves in. I know that he does a ton of charity effort. I know that he's really plugged in with his community. Show people who you are inside and outside of real estate, and it's really going to pay off literally and figuratively. We've got 1 more minute here. And I just want to add, I'll let Gracie finish it out, that guys, these masterminds are going to continue to grow, and don't hesitate to reach out. We have got agents in 7 different countries right now, in almost half of the nation. And it's just a big, big opportunity for you to build your business. Find somebody in a market that you look over there, or you look up to their business, you want their business, and you look at it and you're like, wow, I want to specialize in multi-million-dollar houses, or I want to do luxury, or I want to do open houses at a really high level. Reach out to them. Ask them for help. Anybody that drops into my DMs, I'm like, here's my buyer presentation. Here's my listing presentation. Here's my map of referral agents. Here's my agent to agent discount. Codes and things like that. And so if anybody has anything, Gracie, last words, Gracie, for this call. Not forever, but just finish us out, Gracie.
God, hopefully not forever. So ominous. Guys, I want to shout out Jen Rountree on the panel. She is the one working her butt off behind the scenes, making these masterminds happen every Thursday, 12 o'clock Eastern. She is absolutely killing it. We've got 50 masterminds this year, 50 sessions where experts, where high-value speakers are going to sit down, open their playbook, and tell you everything you need to know today to succeed by implementing things quickly. So shout out to Jen. She's the one working her ass off to make that happen. Thank you guys so much for attending. I dropped our Instagrams in the chat. Any 4 of us, you can email or direct message, and we will send you anything you want from our playbooks. Anything you want. Reach out, get connected with YP, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Yep. Every Thursday, guys.
Take it easy, y'all.